Welcome everyone to Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. In this series, what we speak to real estate investing professionals and experts to learn from them to gain knowledge so that we can also learn what they've done, what things didn't work well and, how they've overcome it. We get tips from them. But most of all, we learn about everybody's strategy. Like how are they, like what are they investing in? Where are they investing? What spin do they have on their investing so that you can pick and choose like little ideas from different people when it comes to tips, maybe their strategies from experts, what our experts are saying. We can reach out to some of these people that you hear me interview. I share with you their contact information, and then you can reach out after to, get to know them, maybe partner with them, invest with them, whatever the case may be. My name is Debbie Balfour, if you don't already know that, and I am a real estate investor. I'm a short-term rental host, and I am also a real estate investing success coach. As a coach, I help my clients who are real estate investors to create their personalized real estate investing strategy and scale efficiently. And when I say scale efficiently, what I'm doing there is I work with you to build out your processes and your systems so that you spend more time on your business instead of in your business, already giving you back some of that time, or at least putting that time to more value add tasks that you may do. Each of us are unique, so I truly believe that our strategies should be unique. So understanding who you are as an investor from your values, how much money you have, how much time you have, what you like, what you don't like, your life goals, how you want to give back to society. All those things should be taken into consideration when you're creating your strategy to make it unique to you so that when we hit those big rocks in our real estate investing, because real estate investing is a roller coaster. It doesn't go straight up, right? We have this roller coaster ride and we will hit problems. That those creating that purpose around your real estate investing helps you to get through those times that you don't just give up. I'm really excited today to introduce you to my special guest today, Natasha. Natasha, I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your last name. So can you pronounce it?
Natasha
Feghali?
Feghali. Yes.
Feghali. Okay. And Natasha is a real estate investor with a passion for helping others and a deep commitment to community involvement. Her background is education. So of course she is a lover of everything learning, and she's a lifetime learner, and she's dedicated her career to giving back in a positive impact to those around her. Outside of her professional life, Natasha enjoys exploring new cultures, spending time with her family, and engaging in creative projects. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your creative projects, Natasha. Sure. So she also believes in the power of connection and strives to foster strong relationships in all areas of her life. Natasha, we will speak to Natasha a bit about her background in real estate investing. However, her topic that she'd like to speak to us today on is staying within our means, right? So before we get started, Natasha, on our topic, let's learn a bit more about you from the real estate investing perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I started investing in 2014. To be honest, I was born into this. My grandparents had an extremely large portfolio of rental properties. My father, his family, they had some rental properties overseas. And so I guess I could say I was groomed into it somehow. And then my parents had them here, and my dad sold the last one in, I believe it was 2017, 2018, something like that. I started my journey in 2014. This was not ever something I was going to do, but I had a mentor, and he basically said, like, you're going to need a backup plan, and this is how you do it. And I bought my first property. I knew absolutely nothing. And then I just kept building from there. I really didn't know anything till about a few years ago when I met more and more mentors who I listened to and kind of paved the way for me, both implicitly and explicitly through podcasts, through talking to them, through listening to other podcasts, reading, and I've scaled from there. So we have a federal corporation across Canada. We operate out of 3 provinces, and I work with a JV partner. I have my own properties. I also invest in REITs, and we have done some co-lending in the past.
So Natasha, where do you live?
I live in Windsor, Ontario, is where I was born and raised, but I've lived all over the world, and I currently am living in Kuwait.
So you're living between Kuwait and then you come
Yeah,
home
yeah,
to Canada, but
yeah.
all your investing is within Canada.
Yeah,
Mm.
all of my investing is in Canada. I mean, I do have a long-term goal to purchase internationally. We just haven't, it's a long-term goal. We're just not at that point yet.
Mm-hmm. So I asked Natasha that question, so she shares it with you because she shared it near the end of the last time we spoke, and I was like, you should have led with that. But it's it's just to show everyone that we're not geographically tied down when it comes to real estate investing.
Right.
So you can invest home in Canada or you can invest internationally. But if you're investing in Canada, you don't have to be living here. So you could be living somewhere else where that is part of your lifestyle. Well, you could be living, wherever you'd like to be living, where maybe your money could go a bit further too. So, Natasha, what do you do in Kuwait?
Well, I am currently doing a program where I'm doing my master's. It's almost like a co-op. So I'm doing my master's, and in the meantime, we are involved within schools. So, and I do instructional and intervention there, and my master's is in instructional design.
Mhm. And you love what you do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I've been teaching for I'm entering my 17th year. So I've been teaching for a very long time, and I've taught all over the world. And yeah, I think it's completely doable to do both.
because so a lot, I wanted to share that because getting into real estate investing, you don't have to do this only because yes, there are a bunch of people that are frustrated and hate their corporate jobs or hate their 9 to 5 and want to be
Yeah,
out.
no, not
But
at
then there
all.
are other people that are doing this, for financial security, but they want to continue doing, like, they enjoy what they do, and they're not doing it to get out of their 9 to 5.
Yeah,
So,
like if you learn and adopt a model and a system and you have a great team, you can totally do it for a half an hour every single day. I mean, there are some days where there's more pressure than others. However, if you've got the ball rolling and you're working with a proper team, then it I mean can go very seamlessly. There are days where there's a lot of pressure. However, I would say in a month it's maybe 1 or 2 days, and everything can be solved, other than, a massive flood or a fire, gosh forbid, everything else can be solved. Like, I mean, if the toilet's plugged, 9 times out of 10, that's the tenant that has done that.
mhm.
So we receive the call. I have an answering system and everything goes to the answering system, and then we'll respond. Right? And then if it's their negligence, then, obviously there's repercussions for that, but 9 times out of 10, everything can wait till tomorrow.
Yep, sounds good. So let's get on to our topic now. So for many of us within, real estate investing, we want to put as much as possible away for investments. So how do we stay living within our means? So can you share some effective budgeting tips that you
Yeah.
can share with
Yeah,
everyone?
Debbie, there are often times where I feel that I'm falling behind or I'm not up to par with a lot of the people that I know we all kind of started investing at the same time or later than me. However, what I've learned is very recently, the slower you go, the better it is for you. Because sometimes when you grow too fast, it's not exactly the best strategy because a lot of things do come up and often. So it's very important that you have your balance sheets, you know your numbers, and you scale within that. I never counsel people to grow quickly. And I'll give you an example. I had a young investor call me who's in one province but wants to invest in another. And this is his first property. I would never counsel anyone to do that because I think your first property, you do need to be hands-on. You really can't be like, okay, I'm just going to dump this on somebody because that other person is getting paid. This is your property. And I am a very hands-on investor uh within my own strategies, but I personally feel like unless this is like a REIT or you're the JV, and this person shows, that they've have a portfolio of success, I felt like you want to buy your first property in another province and to boot a fourplex. And I was just like, have you ever done this before? And they were like, no. And I said, my opinion is you should buy locally and probably a duplex so that you can get your feel of things. And in a few years, grow from there. But this is not a get rich quick business. I, by sheer luck, got lucky because I bought when the market was low and I sold right in 2017 when the market got hot. It was luck. I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what burr was or fix and flip. I didn't know anything, Debbie. I got lucky. But that kind of luck
Mhm.
doesn't happen and it has never happened to me again. So I always suggest staying within your means and go slow by slow by slow. Sometimes good tenants go rogue. And I just had a call with a local investor who had a good tenant who went rogue. You really have to go slow by slow. And then, there's the seasonal issues, the snow, the grass, all of those things that just continue to add up.
I had a property in Calgary and I just bought it brand new. So I was like, when I'm running my numbers, I didn't put much for maintenance on there. And because it's brand new, like what would I have to do? 2 months into it, um, hailstorm, this big, like baseball size
Oh my
that's
goodness.
that just like beat it against the home, ruined all the roof of it was a duplex, the roof of the garage for it. Like the siding had looked like bullet holes. It was just so right away I had to pay that deductible on the insurance, like $5,000
Oh
already,
my
right?
goodness.
So yeah, I mean, I had my line of credit. It was
Right.
my first one, so I wasn't thinking, but exactly. But I totally agree. Like if you stretch yourself so thin that you're trying to that just acquire, and you don't have a reserve, something to fall back on, you could lose it all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have properties in Moncton, New Brunswick, and what we pay in snow removal is unbelievable. Snow, grass, it's just unbelievable, but you have to because they literally get snow past our heads.
Hmm.
So you have to do that. So it's really interesting because if you don't really have that small reserve, then when things come up, it's coming out of your pocket. And I'm not gonna lie, that has happened to me in the past.
Hmm.
I just think it's responsible to go slow and then you learn when do you have to give them an N1 so that their rent can increase. You learn about different things that are taking place. If they're not paying rent, how do you do an N4? So you start to learn about all of these processes and procedures. so that you're also, adept and aware to how to do things. And I would say the best thing to do is to work slowly, especially if it's your first property. There's beginner's luck, as we talked about, and then there's the downside of things. And I've seen that too. I mean, in 10 years, I've seen it all. I've seen it
Mhm.
all. Like, there's really nothing that's going to shock me anymore. And especially now in the current climate, I would say to go even slower than before. I would say to buy a property and sit on it for a while. You don't know what's going to come up. And you need to build a team as well.
Right.
I've gone through a lot of contractors. I've gone through a lot of lawn care. I've gone through a lot of property managers. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just this clickbait of you're going to get rich quick, be an investor. That's people making money through social media. There's the reality of things, and it's, some days good and some days really bad.
Yeah. So definitely. So your advice would be to for a new investor to invest where they can drive to, where they've got hands on, learn the business before you outsource it, so that you know how to manage it. Then you could take it otherwise,
Right.
and always and make sure you have that reserve, and that you're on top of things.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't suggest anyone to do anything otherwise. I think it's important and it's responsible to make sure that you're taking your time to understand processes and procedures and to build that base.
Yeah.
Because, okay, maybe you want to buy a new property, renovate the bathroom, and then refinance. However, if anything was to happen to your tenants, what we know is the first place they go for extra money is the rent. And why is that? Because there's no repercussions for them that are serious.
Hmm. And
And
they
I say
have
that very
they have this
respectfully.
image of landlords, because I see it on TV all the time. There's big bad landlords with lots of money that are just
Yeah.
trying to rip them off, and we're all
Yeah.
rich, and yeah.
Exactly, exactly. It's not
Yeah.
the case at all. It's not,
No.
it really is not the case. And, for a lot of landlords, excuse me.
Bless you.
See, it means it's true. For a lot of landlords, like, we often have to dip into our own our own money in order to get the things done that need to get done.
Well, we're all like many of us are leveraging our own homes, so we're putting our own homes at risk to buy this other property.
Right.
So
There's no other business that you
yeah,
can go and steal from
yeah,
e- except rental housing.
yeah. So how can people identify and avoid any common financial pitfall?
Right, they have to run their numbers, Debbie. Right now in this market, you have to run your numbers, and you might even run your numbers and think it's a great property and then come to find out that actually it might not be, or the market didn't pick up the way you thought it would, or you're not going to get the rents that you thought you were going to get. And that those are all realities. We often see this side where they're like, you're going to get these rents and you're going to get, you can ask for $1 million every month if you want, and someone might come through and be like, yeah, I can pay that. And then the tenant goes rogue. You need to run your numbers. You need to run them low, medium, and high. And I think that's what I do. What is my numbers at the lowest rent I can ask, the median rent I can ask, and the highest rent, and then operate from that standpoint.
Well, if you
You
can
know,
survive the worst case scenario, then you're good. Then
right.
you're
And
good.
you might not be able to. You
Yeah,
might not be able to survive the worst case scenario, and that's just a reality. And you need to be aware of that.
yeah.
And as you said, Debbie, so many of us have had to take from our own HELOCs.
Hmm.
And it's just a reality right now. It's not always going to be like this. Of course, we know that it's very cyclical. However, many of us have had to, because the east trough fell off. Like, I just went to a property the other day, the east trough fell off. How does that happen? I don't know. It's weather. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
You gotta operate. You can't operate from this standpoint. I'm gonna be rich and I'm gonna make a lot of money. Hey, I've been in it 10 years, yeah, maybe on paper you see one thing, but the reality is absolutely completely different.
Definitely. And going back to your about local, I made that mistake too. I bought a property in Calgary because like, oh, the prices are amazing. It was new build,
Right.
it's landlord friendly, etc. But it was my first, right? So, and they were offering free property management. So I thought I'm golden, they're gonna look after it.
Yeah.
But then like the first year was okay, but by the second year, when the good tenants I had in there left, like my property managers were just putting in any old people, and then they after like 2 months they weren't paying, and both up and
Yeah,
down. So I had
yeah.
one side was good, the other side I swore it needed like holy water and stuff on it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know, yeah. I often am like, I want them to get me a tenant now, 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 now. However, I'm actually grateful that they take their time.
Yes, when they do, when you take your time, you get the right people. It isn't worth it because I was getting these tenants coming in for 2 months and they stopped paying. Now I'm paying
Yeah.
their electricity. I'm paying for the mortgage. I'm paying for everything. They're getting free housing. While although they're, you can get them out in Calgary, it still took a month and a half to get them
Oh,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
no matter what, it's gonna take some time. And then there's the other reality, right? I'm in a lot of landlord and tenant groups across
Mhm.
Canada. There's the other reality too. And I'm not saying that this is all tenants. It's not true. It's not. As we talked, Debbie, I have had people with me for 10 years. They've
Mhm.
been with me for 10 years, literally. So it's like there is this reality, but then there's this reality where there's some very beautiful people that are amazing and lovely. And it's a joy and a pleasure to have them.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some practical steps to build a savings cushion while managing their daily expenses?
Right. So you're going to want to go over your processes and procedures and see where you're spending money and what you're spending money on and how you could reduce that. You need to have a balance sheet. You need to have, all those metrics in
Income
place in
statement.
order for you to see your finances. That's very, very important. And then review them often. Try to stay on top of when tenants need to get a rent raise because you don't always have people coming in at the same time. You want to have your checks and balances in place. Like, what am I paying for this? Could I interview other people? Maybe I can get it for a better price. If you're going with an accountant, you might want to interview 4 or 5 accountants to see what they can do for you. And are they also investors? And how much are they going to charge you? It's not shame to ask people what are your fees. That's not a shame to do. So just making sure you have all those checks and balances and metrics in place. I check my balance sheet every day and my bank account every day. I have no shame calling my bank and asking what's this, and this. And I think having that all in place is very responsible.
Mm, yeah, sounds good. And yeah, and like you said, looking for opportunity to reduce those expenses. So
Exactly.
insurance is one, but just from a person that's just going through a fire and have a lot of experience now with insurance, I would say when you're looking at your insurance policies, though, make sure that you have the good coverage that will cover your content, that will cover your
Yeah.
rebuild at today's. Like, so
Right.
don't skimp on those things, right?
Right.
If when you're comparing insurance companies for premiums, compare them apples to apples. And but
Yeah,
not just looking
exactly.
which one's going to give me the cheapest because replacement insurance and guaranteed replacement insurance are different. How much they're calculating for your rebuild, uh, from one to the other has to be exactly the same, those kind of things. But
Exactly.
definitely,
It's
yeah.
very important to make sure that you're staying on top of those things and checking in on them.
Yeah.
That's something that I try to do often. And when it comes to insurance, I always put it in my leases that the tenants need to have tenant insurance. And so if they default on that, that's that's up to them because it's in your lease. And I email them all the time, make sure your insurance is up to date. I'm very hands-on in that regards.
Mhm.
And I'm always setting protocols, processes, procedures, do's and don'ts. And again, as part of managing your finances and getting that, little sum, having it on the side, is making sure that they're also following the protocols.
Yeah, sounds good. So what percent do you put aside for your reserve fund?
It used to be really a good one, but now with the current interest rates, sadly, it's not as much as I would like to put aside, but
Mhm.
we try for a small margin every month, maybe a few percent. That's about it. But again, I also keep my rents in the median range. I don't go for very high. I don't go for max rent because I have experienced that before, and I have also experienced firsthand when they lose their job and they don't have money, the first place they come is the rent. So now when it comes to rent though, I look at about 30% of their salary. And if the tenant can't meet those checks and balances, well, I'm sorry, you can't live in our properties,
Mhm.
because these are our processes and procedures. But when it comes to saving every month, due to the inflation right now with mortgages, we only put a very little amount aside. But however, we are always keeping, like, I am not a landlord that says, oh, we'll fix that next month. No, no, my handyman is, I use virtual platforms. So he gets a message virtually and he's at the property the next day to assess it. So thankfully, knock on wood, I am always on top of those things because I know a home is like a body. If you let it deteriorate, it will deteriorate.
Yeah. Something you said going back to like the beginning about when we were talking about being local, etc. And we talk about always having like the right people, build the right team, etc. But you mentioned it takes a while to build the right team
Yeah,
because
it takes a long time. It does take
oh,
a long time, and it's important to interview them and follow up on them and check on their work and check on them while they're at the job, especially when you're not around.
mhm,
I'm not saying everyone, but I have experienced situations where they say they're doing something and they don't do it. So it's very important to check up on their work and to make sure that you're asking a lot of questions and you're following up with them all the time.
all right. So, yeah, so your advice would be when you get someone to like just you have to manage them and make sure that
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
doing,
They're getting paid from
yeah.
you. So
Don't just trust.
if you've built a very strong relationship with them, trust and doing your job are two different things,
Hmm.
because I can trust you and you're not doing your job. So you've broke trust.
Yes,
And I can trust you and you are doing your job. So you're getting paid for what you're doing.
right,
So I always still remind myself that I might trust you, but we're not friends.
right.
This is a business transaction right now.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's business.
Yeah.
So that relationship can be broken at any time.
And I think
So I
anyone
let
that you can trust, anyone that takes pride in their work, they're not
Yeah,
worried about you checking on them and go, oh yeah, that's done.
exactly. Yeah,
Here, here's a
exactly. They're
picture.
not worried about it. They
Yeah.
respond to emails.
I've
If
had a
I see that
contractor.
that's not happening, it's over, the relationship is over, and I'm
Mhm.
taking my business elsewhere. And I make that very clear from the beginning. And I know this sounds really harsh, but Debbie, we're running a business here. This is a business. This is
Yes,
not a charity. I might donate to charity and a lot, but this is not a charity.
exactly. So that's something to consider. I think, when we interview tenants, we get sob stories. And we need to like not feel sorry for them, because I've heard of people going, well, I felt sorry for her because she was a single mom,
Yeah,
etc.
I did that once and I sat in court for a year and it cost me $30,000.
Yeah.
And it was sadly during COVID, very unfortunately, and we haven't recovered that money.
So, remember, it's a business. We're not running a shelter. When you hear those sob stories, just kind of eliminate. That
It's
person's
very
gone.
unfortunate, and we can
Mhm.
point them in the right direction to get the services that they need. However, I'm not a government entity. I cannot help you with what you are seeking, but
Yeah.
I do have the resources to point them in the right direction. But I unfortunately, I can't do those things because I don't get any government subsidies or government funding. If I did, I would do it with all my heart, but I don't.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, we often suffer from government legislation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and do you get, so for, when you say you check on them, like you don't physically check on, like you're not going and checking
No, I
all
will
the time.
physically go to a
Or
job.
you will go think,
I physically go to
okay,
jobs and see what's going on, what progress has been made, what's been
right,
done. I will call the tenants. I will ask the tenants to send me, if I can't go there, to send
photos.
me what's been done and what hasn't been done because they live there and they've been with me for years.
Mm-hmm.
However, Debbie, I'm at a point now where I have a team that has also been with me for years and they know the homes. And so the process is running smoothly. But if a tenant called me and said the grass was not cut today and I know they're supposed to come and they send me an invoice, well, then we have to have a serious conversation.
Yeah, that sounds good. What I do, because I operate remote, so I can't just go. And and my like handyman and my contractor has no problem. Like they send it without me asking, is
Yeah,
they
of
take
course.
they take pictures to show
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
"Okay,
Well,
this is
Debbie,
what it
you're
was
like me.
before."
We're at the same place, eh?
Yeah.
Like they already know what to do.
Yeah, so they take pictures before and then they say, hey, here's it after. My handyman will send me, like, he's, cut the grass, he's weeded everything. So he'll, send me, because they're actually proud of what
Yeah,
they're
for
doing.
sure.
So if
Yeah,
you're
for sure.
asking, don't be afraid to ask your team to send you before and after photos, because
Yeah,
they should be proud of the work
yeah,
they've done.
yeah.
I do the
And
same
they
with
want to
my
get paid
cleaners.
too,
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, come on,
Yeah.
let's get this
I,
done.
I do the same with my cleaners because I run short-term rentals.
Right,
So
right.
I get them to take pictures before so that I can see the state that the guest left it in. And then I get take pictures after, because not only to check their work, but if an Airbnb guest is to come back and say that
Mm,
this wasn't done, I can say,
right,
this is the way you got it. I've got
right.
pictures for
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah, we
definitely,
we
yes,
have
yeah.
to. Well, especially I'm not in Airbnb, so I can't speak to that. But
Mhm.
you know,
But
if
it's the
we
same
are
premise with
Yeah,
your
exactly. If
team.
we're having like say a reno, like I currently have a bathroom reno going on.
Mhm.
So I will go there. Actually I'm gonna go after this call. I will go there now and see what's going on, what's been done,
Yes.
because it's not the tenant's obligation to clean up after a contractor, that's the contractor's obligation. So, oftentimes you like you said with the Airbnb, if something has been done and that's them. They need to be liable for their work.
Hmm. Definitely. And they should have pride in it. So there should be no shame in
Right. Yeah.
wanting to send you
Yeah.
pictures
Yeah, I
of
agree
the
with you
work that's done.
100%. Yeah.
So, um, is there like, is there, for a novice or an investor that's just starting, what would be your like top three tips for them?
Number one, do your research and your homework no matter where you're going to invest. Do your homework, do your research. Number two, try to seek out a landlord group in your area and try to see good, average, bad in that area. What you're looking at when it comes to tenant quality. And number three, always keep learning. Always, always, always keep learning and growing and seeking knowledge. And the bonus is go slowly. It's better to go slowly because you will learn tips and tricks to keep you going all throughout.
Definitely. I know that for like with social media now, everybody's posting their successes, everybody's posting, and we suffer from
It's true.
FOMO as a result of it.
For sure.
We think
I
that
told
we're
you, Debbie,
behind.
I was like, people are talking about they got 100 doors, like, and I'm thinking in my head, am I doing something wrong? I don't have 100 doors. Not at all. But I go slow. I'm going
Mm.
slowly, and I'm okay with that.
Remember the tortoise and the hare story from when we were
Yeah,
kids?
like we said, sometimes the slower you go, the better off it is for you in the long run. And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I truly believe the slower you go, the better off it's going to be for you in the long run.
So there is no like, so there is no race. The race is with yourself. It's with
No,
your
the race
goals.
is in your head.
Yeah,
The
it's
race
all
is
with
in your
you.
head. It's a story you made up in your head, and it's in your head. And you're just
Yeah.
racing yourself. Nobody else cares. Go slowly, build your bridge little by little by little.
And then you can scale. Like as you
Yeah.
get experience, you can then expand more. Then you can go faster. But I know
Imagine you get into a JV and you don't even know what that is. And the other person, you
it
know,
takes advantage of you.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
you just lost everything. Yeah. And people, that's happening today.
Debbie, there are people doing that. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I've had many people contact me and I'm like, no,
Yeah, definitely. So
I'll get back to you.
take your time, do your due diligence, run
Yeah,
your
you got to do your
numbers
due diligence.
conservatively. Like, don't fudge the numbers. Like, don't
Hmm.
make it work just because, like, invest, like Natasha's saying, this is a business. So
A
invest
business.
in it
Yes.
based on not emotionally, but on the numbers. If they don't work for worst case scenario, walk away.
You got to walk away.
Walk away. There are going to be other opportunities to
Yeah,
do it. And
absolutely. There's always going to be a house for sale.
yeah.
Always. So what are you rushing for?
We're not saying to not set lofty goals. It's just that, especially for a novice investor, start
Yeah.
slowly. Don't get
Yeah.
yourself into something that you don't have experience with. Don't try to oh, this person's having 100 doors this year, so I should have 100 doors. Like I had that in 2021. Everybody was posting their 2021 goals, and everybody was posting they wanted 100 doors. You know what mine was? My vacation property. I had my one goal
Yeah.
that I was going to get a vacation property for myself that year. Right. And
Yeah.
that took up my whole year, like trying to find it and then renovating it and then learning about how to short-term rent it, all of that stuff. So yeah, but I felt inadequate, but I was like, no,
We're not inadequate, right?
this is my goal. This is
Yeah,
my one goal.
that's just our goal. I don't remember my goal in 2021, but I think it was like go on holiday to Saudi or something. Like, because I'm going slow here. If I get to 100 doors by the time I retire, I mean, hey, that'd be great. But I'm already looking at shifting what we're doing.
And it's not about doors. It's
No,
about
it
how much
actually is
money
not
you
about doors.
make.
It's about ROI.
Yes,
You could have
it's
2 doors and your ROI is out of this world.
yes.
You could have 100 doors
And
and
be in debt
yeah,
and be
yeah,
negative.
exactly. For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So that's what I like. Get rid of the I need to have X number of doors.
No,
Think
you don't.
about like if you're going to set goals based on ROI, on
Mhm.
cash flow, on those kind of things.
Yes,
Set goals based on, oh, like my goal is to have a vacation property. Well, okay. Well, can I make that part of my strategy? My goal is
exactly.
to,
And how do I make a part of my strategy?
exactly. And then, spend the time to research it, etc. Those kind of things. Your goal is to send your kid to university. Well, then, maybe that's an opportunity for you to also have, instead of paying rent
Mhm.
to someone, maybe have an investment property where your kid isn't paying rent and then you're
Exactly.
making money. So like those should be more your goals there, return on it, than
Exactly.
saying I need a 100, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
100 doors.
It's it's all about what's comfortable for you and how much you can take on. And if you take on too much, it's not a good thing.
It's not good for you if you're using your own cash. If you're using others people money, that's even worse because
Oh
your
yeah,
reputation is worth more than money.
yeah. I'm not in that market. So I can't speak to it too much,
Mhm.
but as we both know, there's a lot of people that used other people's money and they're on the hook for it now,
Yeah.
sadly.
So like you have to be so like extra cautious when you're using other people's money.
Yeah,
Um,
very
uh,
cautious
because
because
we can tend to do higher risk things with our own money, but when it's
right,
other people's money, you've better
right.
be have your numbers very conservative. You have to have a way to pay back, like so from your
You
own
always
money.
need an exit plan. No matter what, you
Yeah,
need an exit plan. And sometimes it
multiple
doesn't work.
multiple exit plans.
And sometimes it doesn't work. The exit plan doesn't work,
Exactly. That's
but
why you
you
need
just gotta,
multiple.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
wins the race.
Definitely. So
Yes.
thanks so much, Natasha, for being here with us. You did have a freebie offer you wanted to
Thank you,
offer.
Deb. Yeah,
Uh,
sure. So all of my socials are at NE Feghali, and you can go onto my website as well, which is Natasha efegali.com, or our company website, which is Feghali Group Inc. And you can send me a message or book time to speak with me for an introductory call.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I will be editing into this video your contact information for everyone. So that will
Thank you,
pop up on
Debbie.
the screen. And,
Yes,
Natasha is a teacher,
by trade.
by trade. So
Yeah.
she would love to help you and share her knowledge
Yes,
with you
for
to help
sure.
novice or aspiring investors to avoid many of the pitfalls that happens to someone that's not experienced in investing.
Absolutely, Debbie. And so many mentors have helped us that we also have to help new investors. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. And, and sharing what's like everyone tends to share what's good, but what makes us stronger is when we share the things that we've overcome, right?
Exactly.
The problems that we've hit and how we've
Right.
overcome that. That's how we're going to help others.
That's how we grow.
Yeah. And that's how we grow. So don't be afraid to fail, but be prepared to troubleshoot and problem solve and get past that.
That's right.
Thank
That's
you
it.
so much, Natasha,
Thank
for
you,
spending
Debbie.
time with us today. For everyone watching the podcast, if you like this session, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of podcasts already in the stream and lots more to come. So have a wonderful day, Natasha. And thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.